was growing up, what I liked about Blair, I was very lucky because I stayed across from the Lucky Park, and that was great, and I spent loads of time there, and it was a great neighbourhood to grow up in, and nice people.
I like Blairgowrie because of the nice view, and it's quite a close community.
Well, I was pretty lucky because I stayed in the high street, so I was bang in the middle of the town. I had lots of friends who were just round the doors.
Blairgowrie is good with shops. There's lots of types of shops, lots of places you can meet your friends and hang out.
Wherever we stayed, there was loads of kids, you know, sort of all grew up. And a load of them are still in Blairgowrie, you know, we all still know each other.
You go out the road to Perth or whatever, it's a gorgeous place to live.
What I like about Blairgowrie is the sense of community that it has. Like they've got Blethers for the older generation and they've got Skid for the younger generation.
The main aims of Skid are basically to give young people a voice in their community, in their society, and for them to evolve a role which is recognised and respected by everyone really. And to do that, we felt it was not about saying I need respect, it's about demonstrating their capacity to contribute to society.
Some of the pupils from Blairgowrie High School went along to meet the Blethers group.
We come in here, we yatter about years and things gone by and time's gone by and photographs gone by and so forth, and get a huge amount of pleasure for it.
What age did you leave school at?
15. 15 and went to work in Davidson's as a chemist. I would like to have stayed on, but money was tight. Teacher came to ask my mum if I could stay on, and she said, no, we need Frida's money.
When I came down to Blairgowrie here, I was in the primary school up in the old school, which is now closed. And yeah, the teachers were good. I got on well with them. I was maybe lucky in that respect.
Well, you got at the Hill Primary, if you misbehaved or if you did something wrong, you would get the belt. And if it was really, really bad, it would be the headmaster, Mr. Costy, that would give you the belt. And if you'd ever seen him giving the belt, you didn't want to get that.
I had the belt once in the school. They gave you the belt then. You got put in the corner, told to stand in the corner if you'd been talking or disrupting the class, that sort of thing.
Secondary, again, I was at the high school, which is up in Upper Allen Street. It was cold and drafty in the winter time. You got absolutely toasted in the summertime with the sun coming through the windows. Didn't seem to be able to afford to put blinds on them.
When we lost the railway station, there was a lot of life connected to the station. When we were laddies, we used to go down to the station to meet the trains coming in from Dundee, and we'd get 6s or 9s to carry their luggage up to the Queen's or the Royal Hotel.
We weren't allowed to cross the main road, and that would be when we would be about 8. The road was too busy for us. Now in 1958, 59, 60, the road wouldn't be busy, but we were not allowed to cross that road at all.
See, nowadays it's like lorries, buses,
yeah, no, it would be maybe a car every 15, 20 minutes if we were lucky, but that would be the time, you know, somebody could get knocked down because you weren't used to traffic.
I look along George Street now, and it is end to end, both sides of the street, with cars parked night and day. And I can recollect coming out of school on my bike, and there was absolutely nothing there, no cars at all. When I was in primary 7 and we were in the Mission Hall in Reform Street, we used to play in the middle of the street at playtime. There was so little traffic, but you couldn't do that now.
My dad had a van which went with his work, And we sometimes used to go up to Aberdeen to visit relatives in the van, which my brothers would be sick in the back of. But that was the kind of transport that there was. If you wanted to go to Perth or Dundee, you went on the bus.
Walked 2 miles to school and 2 miles back. There was buses, but not at the time that we needed them.
I felt very fortunate being in the chemist in the Well Meadow. You seen everybody coming and going. It was fun on Braemar night because you could see everything that was going on in the Well Meadow.
There wasn't really a lot going on, you know. Braemar night was the highlight of the year. You know, the one night you got out without your parents.
See, TV has killed off an awful lot of local things. I mean, when I was a bairn, we were on concert parties connected to the church. We'll learn to sing and dance and carry on there. And there was Quinny's Picture House. And Quinny's Picture House was a great place because on the Saturday afternoon matinee we could get in for 3 empty jelly jars or 2 rabbit skins that would poached.
I remember a family up in Blether got a television. They were the first ones in our area, and we all got to go and watch the telly one night. We were sitting there in their front room watching the telly. It was absolutely brilliant.
We had one because the couple of the neighbours came in to watch it as well, so that would be about 1953. That would be the first telly. A wee square thing, you know, more wood than screen.
In my house we've got about 4 TVs, 4 phones, then house phones, and 2 laptops, and 1 Kindle and 3 tablets.
It really was friendly, and we had 2 cinemas. We had one cinema in a Reform Street called the Queen, and we had another cinema across the bridge. Anyway, that cinema, they had seats with two seats together. So if you wanted to go with your boyfriend, you'd try and get to the...
I got £1 a week pocket money, which meant that I could go to the pictures on a Saturday afternoon, which cost 9p. I can remember going to an Elvis film with a friend who wore National Health glasses, which were just sort of glasses that were sort of right into your face. And she was so excited about seeing Elvis that her glasses all steamed up. And she couldn't watch the film properly because every time she was watching the film, the glasses were all steamy. She kept taking them off and wiping the steam off them so she could watch Elvis on the cinema.
Another shop was so well liked was Fazuki's, the Dome at Leslie Street. And I'm so grateful that the gentleman who's in charge, who owns it now, hasn't altered it. Because if you go in the front door, you've got little cubicles, well, little tables with chairs. Well, you see, that was a great place during the war for to meet your boyfriend, because you see, you hope that nobody would see you. And then inside there's the Dome. Well, the Dome was built by the Fazokis, and old Mr. Fazoki wanted the Dome to be like St. Peter's.
In the winter time, we had great fun sledging because we could sledge down Upper Allen Street, come straight down, and we stopped just at the old post office.
And also used to sledge for Newton Street, to the top of Newton Street, right down to the Perth Road there. And you just couldn't do it now, nor would you get away with it.
The shopping was different in those days because you went into the shops, there was a chair at the side of the counter, there would be a woman sitting there and a queue behind her, and everybody was having a blether while they were waiting. They weren't impatient to get served and get out the door again, you know. It was just, that was where women went to meet each other sort of thing, you know.
There's various shops in Blairgowrie when I was growing up. The biggest employer, or the biggest, was the Coop shop. There was a Coop Emporium, there were butchers, the bakers, everything. And there were grocers. I can remember going with my mum as a little girl into the Coop Central, which was the grocery shop, and her buying stuff out of there. And the thing that fascinated me was they put money in a little container and pulled a handle, and it went flying across and into an office where the change came back, which as a small child you always wanted to play with that but never got the chance. But that's the main thing I remember about the shops. I can remember the sweetie shops as well, of course.
Because I can recollect that when I was a young lad in the town, there was no supermarket here at all. The area where the supermarket is now was occupied by Blairgowrie Cooperative, the main shop, and then next to that was a very nice imposing sandstone house, which was the surgery for Dr. William Shaw. The Royal Hotel, of course, was here, and the frontage of that has not changed at all.
There were all sort of individual shops, and you went to the butchers for your meat, you went to the bakers for your bread, things like that. You went to the grocers for your vegetables and things like that, and it was done every day because you didn't have fridges or freezers or anything like that, and the women just went out and shopped every day.
There were only 3 doctors in the practice, and the biggest thing was that they were contracted for 24-hour services 7 days a week. So it was only just the beginnings of single doctors who were, say, independent contractors with the health board coming together in small groups. So around about this area, the rural areas, there were probably a lot of single-handed doctors, maybe 2s and maybe 3s. And in Blairgowrie, in the practice we came to, it was just the 3 doctors.
There was no the number of doctors there is at surgeries now, and they seem to manage. I mean, if you needed a doctor at the weekend or in the evening, your doctor came out and visited you.
But it had its own rewards because you had to live in the community, you had to be with your patients, you were there all the time. You got to know the families from the cradle to the grave, which was what you were committed to looking after. So it brought, I think it brought an enrichment and an award to just being in a community and living in a community.
I remember a story one time my mum had been taken really not well through the night, and he had gone up for Dr. Shaw, and Dr. Shaw said to him, "Just you go home, laddie, I'll be down the road behind you." And he came down, slippers, pyjamas, house coat, the pipe in and a needle in his hand.
Well, one of the attractions of coming to live and work in Blairgowrie was the fact that it had a general practitioner cottage hospital with a maternity unit and with inpatient facilities, as well as close contact with consultants who came out to do the outpatient clinics.
So I managed to get a job as a sister at the cottage hospital, where in those days you did operations, quite a lot of operations, and you did x-rays and things like that. And I came to, thought it was great at the cottage hospital. The only thing, I had great difficulty when I came back in understanding the folk from the Glen. But I soon got used to that, and everybody it was lovely. It was more of a homely atmosphere than rather a big hospital, you know. It was really, I really did enjoy it so much.
The cottage hospital used to do small operations. I remember getting my tonsils out there, and I also remember my auntie having all her teeth out with gas, and it was done out at the cottage hospital as well. You know, they used to do sort of minor operations like that.
As one gets older, for elderly people, it's which there are many more of us, it's really a place where you know people and you can get along with people. You know, it's the cottage hospital. I think is the best thing that could ever have been built.
I left at 15 and went and worked in Wilson Lane, the photographers, where I was all until I got married. And it was a busy, busy shop. Really, at the time there was soldiers, Polish soldiers stationed in Blair, and we'd go back after lunchtime on a Saturday, there'd be a queue outside waiting to have the photograph taken in the studio. You know, it was really, I just can't say enough about my younger day. I couldn't fault it. It was wonderful.
My first job was down at Kay the Solicitors, you know, where the flower shop is now, at the Well Meadow. That was the commercial bank, was on the bottom, and Kay the Solicitor had his offices upstairs, and that was my first job.
Job I got for a woman for 3 days, to go for 3 weeks. And I stayed 15 years here. And they were good to me. It was Rosemount Fair, the Mr. and Mrs. Constable. But I took the job, I said, only for 3 weeks. And ken how much it was? 9 an hour.
24 years I worked out at the box factory, which was Waverley Cameron. I mean, they did loads of things. They made paper clips, they did fancy boxes of writing paper, you know, the spring clips. They did all things like that.
Smedley's was a great place to work. Whole families from Blairgowrie worked in Smedley's, you know. There would be mum, dad, sons and daughters, wives and husbands, you know. And when it closed down, it was a shattering blow to Blairgowrie, that's for sure.
Went to the strawberries, next farm, and potatoes. We had to even plant the potatoes then. My father had a bag round me, this sack, and showed me how to plant the potatoes.
I got my introduction to raspberries with picking them, of course, and my mother's coattails. We used to go to Park Hill and pick raspberries at Park Hill. When I joined Hodges had a big farm outside Blairgowrie called the Gothans, and I used to go out to the Gothans and pay out on the bank in the summertime. The Gothans had their own policemen, their own postie. The travelling people camped in the wood down at the side of the main road, and on the farm there were a number of dormitories.
I had no options, son. Out the door in the morning, berries. This is my mum. Don't want to see you to peacetime.
It was nice being involved with the older generation, and we learnt lots from each other. Blethers has changed my attitude towards old people by making me feel it's easier to talk to them, and it's not such a hardship to talk to them. It's quite easy. It's just like talking to a normal person. It's easier to talk to them.
My attitude has changed towards older people because I didn't realise how much we could talk about and how much you could learn from them.
We could learn from older people's experiences to try harder, to talk to more people and be closer. So we can be closer to our neighbours. So if it's raining, back then their neighbours would come and take their washing in for them, but now we wouldn't do that because we'd see that as wrong.
Communication between, back in the old days, was maybe letters or going down to the shop and having a conversation with someone. That was their social, whereas nowadays we have social media, so we can talk to anybody whenever we want, and it's more social in that sense, but it's not as social as being face to face with someone, having a proper conversation.
I would say they played more games in family time, and the family would be a lot closer, when now we're upstairs on our own things, on our Xbox, and our mum and dad would be watching TV downstairs.
I think they could do more community things together with the elderly and the younger together, and then we can interact more and talk and see how different things were from now in the past.
To bring the elderly community and the young people community, I think there could be a club or something, or we get young people and old people to start talking together and seeing how they interact together, and getting young people to see that old people aren't boring, and to get old people to see that young people aren't all about, well, vandalism and stuff.